After Batman v Superman was a monumental mess, we were then treated with Suicide Squad as the next installment to the DCEU. The movie ended up being a rushed mess that only did more damage to the DCEU and DC as a brand. With that said, let's talk about the movie.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
We start off with very basic introductions to the characters to prepare us for the premise of Suicide Squad. This picks up right after Batman v Superman, and Amanda Waller pushes for Task Force X because the world lost Superman and they needed a defense force for evil metahumans. They first established Deadshot as one of their candidates, and we get some flashbacks to establish his backstory. Part of it involves Batman pulling up and starting a fight with Deadshot right in front of his daughter.
It's over, Deadshot. I don't want to do this in front of your daughter.
So, don't do it in front of his daughter then. Keep your eyes on Deadshot and just wait until he's alone. Ignoring how obviously scary this is for his daughter to see firsthand, but starting a fight with Deadshot while she's nearby is incredibly dangerous. Ignoring the fact that any shot he fires could ricochet nearby her, any of the hits they exchange could accidentally hit Deadshot's daughter, considering how close she was when they started the fight. This is a really bad depiction of Batman, because not only does it make him look unsympathetic, but it makes him a reckless idiot too. The fact his daughter is literally between Deadshot's gun and Batman should make the safety issues blatantly apparent. Next, we move on to Harley Quinn, where they speedrun her origin with the Joker. The pacing moves so fast that it's hard to keep track of the backstory. She was assigned to be the Joker's doctor, she falls in love with Joker thinking she's curing him, then decides to just hand him a machine gun out of nowhere.
I need a machine gun.
A machine gun? I did everything you said. I helped you.
Where did that come from? They establish all of this in the matter of like 30 seconds. We don't actually see any progression taking place. At least with Deadshot, we can understand why he would turn himself in. We can see him experiencing the downsides his lifestyle brings to his family, which can set his willingness to change in motion later on in the story. This backstory with Harley Quinn is just rushed. She then gets her mind damaged by the Joker and just turns into his queen of crime. Again, this movie's pacing makes it so her backstory and progression are just rushed and difficult to comprehend. We then get a scene where Batman chases the Joker and Harley Quinn. He has this really weird plan where he decides to leave the Batmobile and latch onto their car to try stopping them, but he can literally just use the Batmobile to bump into them or use its cables to slow down Joker's car. I also find it funny how Waller describes Harley Quinn as crazier and more fearless than the Joker, only to show her being the only one scared of falling in the water.
She's crazier than him and more fearless.
Now somehow, Joker escapes this even though he was in the crash as well, and Batman would have caught him shortly after saving Harley Quinn.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
Joker has no means of transport, and Batman could search this entire area for him, and the police would already be in pursuit of this.
World's greatest detectives!
And for some reason, Batman goes out of his way to save Harley Quinn and the Joker, but this is the same Batman who was willing to shoot down Lex Luthor's goons. This was at a time when Batman was okay with killing, and we know the Joker and Harley Quinn are involved in Robin dying. So why are either of them alive in this universe? Batman would want to kill them. I also don't know why Amanda Waller would want to recruit Harley Quinn. She's completely unstable and unpredictable, and doesn't offer much of a tactical advantage to what she's asking for. A regular guy working under the government would be more effective than the crazy clown with a bat. You can at least argue that Deadshot's accuracy makes him a useful asset, but you can't make that argument with Harley Quinn. She's also associated with the Joker, who's a very dangerous criminal with dangerous connections. I have the same general issue with Captain Boomerang as well, since he's just a guy with a boomerang. I don't know why he'd be so useful for Task Force X. It's weird because Waller says that the human part of metahumans is the problem for her.
You know what the problem with the metahuman is? The human part.
Despite this, she uses regular humans like Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang when they don't have any unique powers, or have highly useful and one-of-a-kind talents like Deadshot. Another thing worth mentioning is how the government gets brought on board with these plans. If the government was interested in preparing for an evil Superman, why didn't they think to work with people like Batman? He already works with the police and fought with Superman. Why not try to reach heroes like the Flash to discuss cooperation with the government, or ways they can prepare for more powerful metahumans? That's more worthwhile to attempt than trying to assemble a team of supervillains that are far less powerful than any of these heroes. So later on, Enchantress goes insane and her brother goes to kill people at a train station. Task Force X is being called for a response, but I already have to ask why Batman, Wonder Woman, or the Flash are nowhere to be seen during this conflict. This is a metahuman threat, and they can no longer rely on Superman's help. Where have they been this entire movie?
Fuck the world.
Randomly, the movie introduces us to Katana and gives us this sudden backstory and exposition to quickly dump about her. This is a really strange way to establish characters, especially near halfway into the movie. This is less so a natural introduction to a character, but rather an apparent shoehorning just to add another character. So Captain Boomerang tries to tell Slipknot that this entire bomb in the neck thing is fake and plans some kind of escape. But why would Boomerang be able to do this? They should have open mics 24/7. They shouldn't be able to plan and whisper to other people. And apparently, Slipknot just buys this story from Boomerang, despite the fact he would have felt the implant in his neck. He just believes it's fake because this guy he barely knows said so. And Boomerang very obviously was in on the plan to mess with Task Force X, so why isn't he getting punished for this or even talked to about this? A lot of the movie afterwards involves action sequences and plot developments bringing us closer to the final battle, alongside some moments of character progression for Diablo and Harley, which eventually leads to the squad just talking to each other at a bar. And in isolation, this scene works because we actually get to learn more about these characters from their interactions, rather than just rushed exposition. If we had more scenes like this, which the James Gunn movie did, then the characters would have been more fleshed out, without feeling shoehorned into the movie like most of these characters do. It would also add more meaning to the ending payoffs, such as the idea that these villains come together and become friends while achieving good for the world.
Everybody's gonna know what we did. My daughter is gonna know that her daddy is not a piece of shit.
I like what you're selling, lady. Just one teeny problem. You mess with my friends.
That was a great shot, man.
Hey, I don't do hugs. I'm not a hugger.
I like what the story is trying to do in concept, but in execution it falls flat because of how rushed the characters were and how little time they actually spend naturally communicating with each other. I also think the villains in the story are incredibly one-dimensional. We mostly get throwaway dialogue to establish their motivations, and there's nothing interesting done with them. It just strikes me as generic take-over-the-world villains, and the performances don't do anything to make these characters very memorable either. There really isn't much to say about these characters because the writing is so flat. We then get a post-credit scene that establishes Bruce's knowledge of Task Force X, where he offers his protection for her if she provides him with the files on superheroes that he wants to join the Justice League. They also establish that Amanda Waller knows Bruce Wayne as Batman. I'm not sure how she acquired that information, though maybe some later material might explain that given this is a post-credit scene. I do think it's actually smart how Bruce goes about his deal with Waller, essentially exchanging his protection for Waller's shady activity in favor of access to superheroes needed to protect the world from the threat Lex Luthor hinted at when they last spoke.
The bell's already been rung, and they've heard it out in the dark among the stars. Now the god is dead.
And he doesn't make any explicit threats to shut down Waller's activities until after he's given the information he needs.
You should shut it down. My friends and I will do it for you.
And if he follows up on that in later entries, that's some good planning from Batman. We'll have to see what he does in the future. With that said, this movie is still bad. I would give it a 2 out of 10 overall. The pacing is all over the place, the characters aren't given enough time to be fleshed out, and the overall plot and world building are enormously broken. I think this movie is a little worse than Man of Steel, but not as bad as Batman v Superman.
No.
Got lucky on that one.
Next, I'll be talking about Wonder Woman. With that said, hope you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want more of these reviews. Until next time, goodbye.